The massive alien ship cut through the darkness of space like a silver blade. Inside the command center, Ambassador Velthar stared at the planet below with growing concern. His purple skin darkened with worry as he studied the readings on his screen. Thalasso 7 looked beautiful from orbit. The planet was covered almost entirely in deep blue oceans that sparkled under the light of its twin suns. White clouds drifted lazily across the surface. It looked peaceful. It looked inviting. It was one of the most dangerous places in the known galaxy. Velthar had read the reports many times. The Galactic Council had marked this planet as forbidden over 300 years ago. The waters below contained acids strong enough to melt through metal. Strange organisms lived in those oceans that could dissolve flesh in minutes. Even the air above the water carried toxic vapors that burned the lungs of most species. 17 scientific expeditions had tried to study this world. Only 5 had returned. The rest were lost to the deadly environment below. So why were they detecting power signatures on the surface? "Ambassador, we are receiving a transmission," said Zilmora, his science officer. She was a tall, slender being with silver scales and 4 arms. Her voice carried confusion. "It appears to be a greeting." In galactic standard, Velthar's 3 eyes widened. "From the planet?" "Yes, sir. They are inviting us to land at their research station." "Research station?" Velthar stood up quickly. What species would be mad enough to build a station on that death world? Zilmora checked her instruments again. Her scales shifted to a nervous yellow color. "According to the signature, humans, sir." The bridge fell silent. Humans were the newest members of the Galactic Council. They had only made first contact 5 years ago. Their planet, Earth, was considered unusual but not particularly dangerous. They were friendly, curious, and seemed eager to learn about the galaxy. They were also known for doing things that other species found confusing or reckless. "Prepare a shuttle," Velthar ordered. "We need to warn them. They clearly don't understand what they're dealing with." The shuttle descended through the atmosphere of Thalasso 7. Velthar sat with his security team, watching the view screen nervously. As they dropped below the clouds, he could see the ocean more clearly now. The water was not the healthy blue of a normal sea. It had a greenish tint and strange patterns swirled across its surface. "Toxicity readings are extreme," Zilmora reported. She was monitoring the air samples. "The atmosphere contains 17 different poisonous compounds. The ocean water tests show acidity levels that would destroy our shuttle hull in less than an hour. And someone built a research station here," Velthar muttered. "Insanity." The station came into view. It was surprisingly large, built on floating platforms that were connected by covered walkways. Solar panels covered every available surface. Strange equipment dotted the platforms, and Velthar could see several small buildings that must serve as living quarters and laboratories. What shocked him most was how clean and well-maintained everything looked. This was not an emergency shelter or a desperate outpost. This was a thriving research facility. The shuttle landed on a designated pad. Through the window, Velthar could see a figure approaching. It was a human woman wearing casual clothes and a bright smile. She waved at them as if greeting friends at a peaceful garden party, not visitors to a death world. Velthar stepped out of the shuttle carefully. The air smelled wrong, sharp and chemical. His suit's filters worked hard to clean each breath. The woman approached without any protective gear beyond a simple breathing mask hanging around her neck. "Welcome to Thalasso 7, she said cheerfully in perfect galactic standard. "I'm Dr. Ji Young, the director of this research station. We're so excited to have visitors." Velthar tried to match her smile, though his facial structure made it look more like a grimace. "Dr. Ji Young, I am Ambassador Velthar of the Culinary species. I must speak with you urgently about the danger you and your team are in." Ji Young's smile didn't fade. "Danger? Oh, you mean the water?" "Yes, it's quite toxic. Would you like to come inside? I can show you our research." "Dr. Ji Young," Velthar said carefully, "I don't think you understand. This planet is classified as a Class 9 hazardous world. The highest danger rating in the Galactic Codex. The Council forbids settlement or extended presence on worlds like this." "Oh, we know about the classification," Ji Young said, leading them toward one of the buildings. "That's why we came here. We're studying extreme environment adaptation. Thalasso 7 is perfect for our research." Zilmora made a sound like a gasp. "Perfect? Madam, the water below us could kill you in seconds." Ji Young laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound that seemed completely out of place on this deadly world. The water is certainly challenging, but that's what makes it interesting. Come on, let me show you what we've discovered. The main research building was comfortable and well lit. Velthar saw computers, scientific equipment, and charts covering the walls. Everything looked normal, like any research station on a safe world. Several other humans worked at various stations, and they all looked healthy and relaxed. A young man approached them, carrying a tablet. He had an easy smile and friendly eyes. Dr. Ji-young, the evening swim is scheduled for 1800 hours. Should I prep the equipment? Velthar felt his blood run cold. Swimming? Did he say swimming? Oh yes, Ji-young said brightly. This is Hyunwoo, our marine biologist. He goes into the water every day to check our sensor arrays and observe the local wildlife. We all take turns. Hyunwoo nodded enthusiastically. The ecosystem here is amazing. We've cataloged over 200 species so far. You should see the bioluminescent organisms that come out after dark. Absolutely beautiful. You go into the water, Velthar repeated slowly. He looked at Silmora, who had turned completely white with shock. The water that our instruments say could dissolve organic tissue in minutes. Well, it does sting a bit at first, Hyunwoo admitted. But you get used to it after the first week or so. The suit helps with temperature regulation, and of course we need the breathing equipment, but otherwise it's really not that bad. Velthar sat down heavily in a nearby chair. This was impossible. Everything he knew about biology, about chemistry, about survival in extreme environments, told him that what these humans were describing could not be real. Dr. Ji-young, he said quietly, I need you to explain something to me. How are you still alive? Ji-young pulled up a chair across from him. Her expression became more serious, though still friendly. Ambassador, I understand your concern. Your species evolved on a world very different from Earth. You come from a place with gentle temperatures, clean air, and safe water. That's wonderful. And it's produced a beautiful civilization. She gestured out the window at the churning green ocean. But Earth was not a gentle world. Our planet tested us in 1,000 different ways. Extreme temperatures, poisonous plants and animals, diseases, radiation. Our bodies learned to adapt, to heal, to survive things that would kill most other species. But this, Velthar gestured at the ocean, this is beyond extreme. This is certain death. For your species, yes, Ji-young agreed. For us, it's challenging but manageable. We've been here for 3 months now and everyone is healthy. Actually, we're thriving. The research opportunities here are incredible. Silmora was frantically scanning Ji-young with her medical instruments. Ambassador, her readings are normal. Completely normal. It's as if she's standing in a perfectly safe environment. Because to her it is, Velthar whispered. A terrible understanding was beginning to dawn on him. Their baseline for safe is our nightmare. We do appreciate your concern, Ambassador, Ji-young said warmly. It's kind of you to come all this way to warn us. But I promise we know what we're doing. We've taken every precaution. Velthar looked out at the toxic ocean. Somewhere in that poison water humans were swimming. Swimming, like it was a pleasant afternoon at a beach resort, Dr. Ji-young, he said slowly. I think the Galactic Council needs to revise many of our assumptions about humanity. She smiled again. Would you like to stay for dinner? We caught some local fish today. They're delicious once you remove the poisonous parts. Velthar decided he needed to contact the council immediately. They were not going to believe this. Silmora refused to believe it. She had been a scientist for 40 years, and she knew what was possible and what was not. What the humans claimed was definitely not possible. I need to run more tests, she insisted, setting up her equipment in the corner of the human research lab. There must be some explanation. Perhaps the water composition has changed. Perhaps our old data was wrong. Dr. Ji-young was happy to help. She provided water samples, atmospheric readings, and even biological specimens from the ocean. Hyunwoo brought up several containers of local organisms, handling them with casual ease despite their clearly toxic nature. Velthar watched Silmora work through the afternoon. Her scales kept changing colors, cycling through confusion, disbelief, and fear. Each test confirmed what they already knew but could not accept. The water is worse than our records indicated, Silmora finally admitted. Her voice was hollow. The acidity is higher. The toxin concentration is greater. And there are new compounds we didn't even know about. She looked at Ambassador Velthar with wide eyes. This planet is more dangerous than we thought, not less. And yet the humans swim in it, Velthar said quietly. Through the window, they could see the sun beginning to set. The ocean turned strange colors in the fading light, greens and purples mixing in ways that looked beautiful and terrible at the same time. Several humans were gathering near the edge of the platform, carrying equipment. It's almost 1800 hours, Ji-young noted, checking her watch. Hyunwoo's evening dive. Would you like to observe? You can watch from here, or we have cameras that show underwater footage. I need to see this with my own eyes, Velthar said. He could not believe it until he saw it. They moved to an observation area with large windows overlooking the water. Shilmora set up recording equipment, her hands shaking slightly. 2 other members of Velthar's security team joined them, their weapons hanging forgotten at their sides as they stared at the scene below. Hyunwoo appeared on the platform below, waving up at them cheerfully. He wore a suit that looked far too thin to offer any real protection. It was sleek and flexible, more like athletic wear than survival equipment. On his back was a simple breathing apparatus. He adjusted his mask and gave a thumbs up to another human, who was running final checks on his gear. "This is madness," whispered one of Velthar's guards. "He's going to die." Ji-young overheard and smiled sadly. "I understand why you think that. But Hyunwoo has made over 100 dives here. He knows what he's doing." 100? Shilmora's voice cracked. "He has exposed himself to that water 100 times? "Well, we all have," Ji-young said. "We take turns maintaining the underwater sensors and collecting samples. It's part of the job." Velthar watched Hyunwoo approach the edge of the platform. The human stood there for a moment, looking out at the churning water. Then in one smooth motion he dove. It was a perfect dive, graceful and controlled. Hyunwoo entered the water with barely a splash. The green liquid swallowed him, and for a moment Velthar couldn't see anything. "Medical alert," Velthar shouted. "Prepare rescue protocols. Get the medical bay ready." "He's fine," Ji-young said calmly. She pointed to a screen showing underwater camera footage. "See? There he is." On the screen, Hyunwoo was swimming downward with strong, easy strokes. The water around him should have been eating through his suit, burning his skin, poisoning his blood. Instead, he looked like someone enjoying a pleasant swim in a safe pool. Shilmora made a sound that might have been a sob. "This violates every principle of biology I know." "He's going to check the sensor array at depth marker 3, Ji-young explained, pointing to the screen. "It's about 30 meters down. Should take him about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Velthar's species could barely survive 20 seconds in water that toxic, even with full protective gear, and this human was swimming in it like it was nothing." They watched in stunned silence as Hyunwoo reached the sensor array. He inspected the equipment carefully, making adjustments and taking readings. His movements were calm and professional. He even paused at one point to observe something swimming past. "What is that creature?" one of the guards asked, pointing at a large shape moving in the background of the footage. Ji-young leaned closer to the screen. "Oh, that's what we call a razorfin. Beautiful, isn't it? Very dangerous, though. Its skin secretes a neurotoxin that can paralyze prey. And it's swimming near him," the guard exclaimed. "They're mostly curious about us," Ji-young said. "They don't see humans as prey. We think it's because we're too big and probably taste terrible." She laughed at her own joke. Velthar couldn't laugh. He watched the razor fin circle closer to Hyunwoo. The human noticed it and actually waved at the creature. Then he calmly continued his work, completely unconcerned about the deadly predator just meters away. "Does he have weapons?" Shilmora asked. "Some way to defend himself?" "Just a knife for cutting tangled cables," Ji-young replied. "But he's never needed it. The local wildlife leaves us alone mostly." The razor fin eventually lost interest and swam away. Hyunwoo finished his inspection and began swimming back up. On another camera angle, Velthar could see more creatures in the water. Things with too many tentacles, things with glowing eyes, things that looked like they were made of nightmares. Hyunwoo swam past all of them without concern. "He's coming up now," Ji-young announced. They watched as Hyunwoo's head broke the surface of the water. He swam to the platform ladder and climbed out, water streaming from his suit. Even from this distance, Velthar could see him smiling. "I need to go down there," Velthar said suddenly. "I need to see him up close." They rushed down to the lower platform. By the time they arrived, Hyunwoo had removed his breathing mask and was toweling off his hair. His skin looked completely normal. No burns, no damage. No signs that he had just spent 20 minutes in poison. "Ambassador," Hyunwoo greeted him cheerfully. Did you watch the dive? Pretty cool, right? Velthar approached slowly, as if Hyunwoo might be a hallucination that would disappear if he moved too fast. Are you injured? Injured? Hyunwoo looked confused. Then he laughed. Oh, you mean from the water? No, I'm fine. It stings a little when you first get in, like jumping into cold water, but you get used to it. Shilomora was scanning him frantically with her medical device. Your vital signs are perfect. Better than perfect. Your body temperature is actually slightly elevated, as if you've been exercising in a comfortable environment. Well, swimming is good exercise, Hyunwoo agreed. But the toxins, Shilmora's voice was almost a wail. You've been exposed to dozens of deadly compounds. Hyunwoo shrugged. Yeah, the first few dives were rough. I had some minor irritation, a bit of inflammation. But our immune systems adapted pretty quickly. Dr. Minji monitored us closely. Now it's really not a problem. Not a problem. Velthar repeated numbly. You adapted to Class 9 toxins in a few weeks. The human body is pretty amazing, Hyunwoo said proudly. He pulled off his diving suit, revealing normal clothes underneath. You should see what we could do back on Earth. We have people who swim with sharks, climb mountains without oxygen, run across deserts. Humans are good at adapting. Another human appeared, a woman carrying a medical kit. She was older than the others, with kind eyes and a professional manner. Hyunwoo, let me do your post-dive check. Ambassador, this is Dr. Minji, our medical officer. Ji-young introduced them. Dr. Minji shook Velthar's hand politely before turning to examine Hyunwoo. She checked his eyes, his skin, his breathing. She took a small blood sample and ran it through a handheld analyzer. Everything looks good, she announced. No inflammation markers. Toxin levels are well within acceptable range. Acceptable range? Shilomora looked at the blood analysis results. These toxin levels would kill my species in minutes. Yes, but Hyunwoo isn't your species, Dr. Minji said gently. Human liver and kidney function is remarkably efficient at filtering toxins. Plus, our cellular repair mechanisms work very quickly. What would be deadly poisoning for you is just a minor inconvenience for us. Velthar sat down heavily on a nearby bench. His entire understanding of biology was crumbling. I need to report this to the council. Of course, Ji-young said. We have all our research data available. We're happy to share everything we've learned. That evening, Velthar sent a long message to the Galactic Council. He included video footage, scientific data, and his own observations. He tried to explain what he had seen in rational terms, but even as he wrote, he knew how crazy it sounded. Humans could swim in poison. Humans could adapt to death worlds. Humans thought this was normal. The council's response came faster than he expected. They didn't believe him. They thought his instruments were malfunctioning. They suggested the humans were using some kind of advanced protective technology they hadn't disclosed. So Velthar sent them raw footage of Hyunwoo's dive. He sent them Shilmora's test results. He sent them Dr. Minji's medical data showing how human bodies processed deadly toxins like they were mild irritants. The Galactic Communication Network exploded with controversy. Scientists demanded more data. Politicians called emergency meetings. Everyone had the same question. What kind of species could survive a death world like it was a vacation resort? And more importantly, what kind of world had created such a species? The Galactic Council's demand came 3 days after the videos went public. They wanted a full medical examination of every human on Thalassos 7. They wanted detailed biological data. They wanted to understand how this was possible. Dr. Ji-young read the official request and sighed. They think we're hiding something. Can you blame them? Dr. Minji said, looking up from her own work. From their perspective, we're doing the impossible. They need to understand. Fine, Ji-young agreed. We'll cooperate fully. Set up the medical bay for examinations. And Minji, make sure they understand we want to examine them too. This is a scientific exchange, not an interrogation. Ambassador Velthar arrived the next morning with a team of galactic doctors and scientists. They carried sophisticated medical equipment, scanning devices, and detailed questionnaires. Shilomora led the scientific team, her scales now a determined blue color. We appreciate your cooperation, Velthar said formally. The council needs to understand the nature of human biology. For everyone's safety. Of course, Ji-young replied. But I have one condition. This works both ways. Your doctors examine us and our doctors examine you. We're just as curious about your biology as you are about ours. Velthar hesitated, then nodded. That seems fair. The examinations began. Dr. Minji worked with the alien doctors explaining human anatomy and physiology. The aliens were fascinated and horrified in equal measure. Your baseline body temperature would give most species a severe fever, one doctor noted, studying the readings. How do you function at such heat? This is normal for us, Dr. Minji explained. Our bodies operate efficiently at 37 degrees Celsius. Any cooler and we start having problems. They examined human blood samples under microscopes. The alien scientists clustered around the displays, making sounds of amazement and concern. The white blood cell activity is extraordinary, Shilmora said. They're attacking everything. Every foreign particle, every unusual molecule. It's like your immune system is constantly at war. That's basically correct, Dr. Minji agreed. Human immune systems are very aggressive. We evolved on a world full of diseases, parasites, and toxins. Our bodies learn to fight back hard. But this level of activity should exhaust you, another scientist protested. The energy required for this constant immune response should leave you weakened, Dr. Minji smiled. That's why we eat so much compared to your species. We need the calories to power our biological defenses. They tested human healing capabilities. Dr. Minji showed them records of injuries that had occurred during the first weeks on Thalassos 7, chemical burns from the water, small cuts from equipment, minor illnesses from adjusting to the new environment. This injury was documented 5 days ago, Shilmora said, looking at a photo of a nasty burn on someone's arm. She looked at the same person now. Where is the scar? It healed, the human in question said. His name was Dae-hyun, the station's chief engineer. Took about 3 days to stop hurting, another 2 for the skin to repair itself completely. Impossible, breathed one of the doctors. This type of chemical burn should take months to heal if it heals at all. Dae-hyun rolled up his sleeve, showing perfectly normal skin. Human healing is pretty good. As long as the injury isn't too severe, we patch ourselves up fast. The alien doctors tested everything. Reaction times, strength, endurance, pain tolerance. Every test revealed something that shocked them. You can survive without food for over a month? One scientist asked in disbelief. If we have water, yes, Ji-young confirmed. It's not comfortable, but humans can survive extended periods without food. Our bodies store energy and can break down our own tissues if necessary to keep vital organs functioning. You can drink water from almost any source and your bodies purify it? Well, we prefer clean water, Dr. Minji said. But yes, human kidneys and liver are very good at filtering out impurities. We can drink water that would poison many species. You can survive in temperatures ranging from -40 to +50 degrees Celsius. With appropriate clothing and behavior, yes, Ji-young said. Humans live in deserts, Arctic regions, jungles, mountains. We adapt to the local conditions. Shilmora set down her datapad and looked at the humans with something like fear in her eyes. Do you understand what you are? Your species isn't normal. This level of adaptability, this resilience, this aggressive survival capability. You're not a standard evolved species. What do you mean? Ji-young asked quietly. I mean, Earth must have been a nightmare world, Shilmora said. Only the harshest environments produce species like yours. You're survivors of a death world. You have to be. Dr. Minji and Ji-young exchanged glances. Earth has its challenges, Minji admitted. But we always thought of it as a beautiful, life-filled planet. It is filled with life, Velthar said slowly. But what kind of life? Tell me, Dr. Ji-young. How many poisonous species exist on Earth? Ji-young thought about it. Thousands, I suppose. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, toxic insects. How many predators? Many. We have large carnivores on every continent except Antarctica. How many diseases? Dr. Minji answered this one. Countless. Bacterial infections, viral diseases, parasites, fungal infections. Humanity has fought against disease for our entire existence. And natural disasters? Velthar continued. Earthquakes, storms, volcanic eruptions. All of those, yes, Ji-young said. Earth is a geologically active planet, and our weather can be extreme. Velthar spread his arms. Don't you see? Your planet tested you constantly. It threw challenges at you from every direction. Disease from below, predators from the sides, disasters from above. And you not only survived, you thrived. You became the dominant species on a world that was actively trying to kill you. The humans were quiet for a moment. They had never thought of Earth that way before. Most galactic species evolved on gentle worlds, Silmora explained. Stable climates, few predators, limited disease. They developed intelligence in safe environments. Humanity developed intelligence as a survival tool in a hostile environment. That would explain a lot about our biology, Dr. Minji mused. The aggressive immune system, the rapid healing, the ability to adapt to toxins. It explains everything, Silmora said. You're not a peaceful species that learned to explore. You're a survivor species that survived long enough to develop space travel. There's a massive difference, a young human named Jaewon spoke up. He was the station's pilot and general mechanic. So what you're saying is that we're weird because Earth is weird? Earth isn't weird, Velthar corrected him gently. Earth is a death world. By galactic standards, your home planet should be classified as hostile to life. The fact that it produced an intelligent spacefaring species is remarkable. But we don't feel like we come from a death world, Ji-young protested. Earth is home. It's comfortable. That's my point, Velthar said. Thalasso 7 is comfortable to you. This station, surrounded by poison water under a toxic sky, seems normal. You swim in waters that would kill me in seconds, and you call it relaxing. He gestured around the research station. Your comfort zone is my nightmare. What you call mildly challenging, I call certain death. The gap between our species isn't just cultural or technological. It's fundamental to our biology. Dr. Minji pulled up data on her computer. If Earth is a death world, that would make sense of some historical data. Humans have always been explorers. We climbed the highest mountains just to see what was there. We sailed across oceans without knowing what was on the other side. We went into space before we really understood how dangerous it was. Because compared to surviving on Earth, everything else seemed manageable, Silmora said. You weren't being brave. You were using the skills you needed just to survive on your home world. Daehyun laughed suddenly. So we're the crazy species. The ones who think death worlds are nice vacation spots. Not crazy, Velthar said. Adapted. Perfectly adapted to survive in conditions that would destroy most other species. That's not insanity. That's evolution. The examinations continued for several more days. The alien doctors compiled mountains of data about human biology. They were particularly interested in how humans processed the toxins from Thalasso 7's water. Your liver enzymes are breaking down complex poisons into harmless compounds, one doctor explained to Dr. Minji. The efficiency is remarkable. It's as if your body has a built-in chemical processing plant. We do, Dr. Minji said. Humans have been dealing with poisonous plants and toxic substances for millions of years. Our bodies got very good at handling them. Too good, the doctor muttered. This level of toxin resistance shouldn't be possible in a natural species. But it is possible, Dr. Minji said firmly. We're proof of that. On the fourth day of examinations, Silmora made an announcement that would change everything. She had been compiling all the data, comparing human biology to every known species in the galactic database. I have completed my analysis, she said, her scales turning a formal gray color. I will be submitting a recommendation to the Galactic Council. What recommendation? Velthar asked. That Earth be officially reclassified as a Class 7 death world, that humans be recognized as a death world survivor species, and that humanity's ability to function in extreme environments be considered a significant factor in all future galactic planning. Ji-young stood up. Class 7? That's very high. 2 weeks after the medical examinations, Dr. Ji-young called a meeting in the main research center. The entire human team gathered around the central table. Ambassador Velthar and Silmora attended as well, now considered honorary members of the research station. We have enough data from the surface waters, Ji-young announced. It's time for the next phase of our research. We're going to the bottom, Hyunwoo grinned excitedly. Jaewon nodded with enthusiasm. Even the usually calm Dr. Minji looked eager. Only the aliens looked concerned. The bottom? Velthar asked carefully. How deep are we talking about? 8,000 meters, Ji-young said, pulling up a map of the ocean floor on the display screen. The deepest part of this ocean. According to our scans, there are some very interesting geological formations down there, possibly even hydrothermal vents that might support unique life forms. Silmora's scales turned white. 8,000 meters? In this water? No species has ever survived that depth on Thalasso 7. No species has tried with proper equipment, Jaewon said. He pulled up schematics for a small submarine. This is what I've been building for the past month. a deep-sea exploration vessel designed specifically for Thalassos 7's conditions. Velthar studied the design with growing alarm. This hull seems very thin. It's made from a composite material, J1 explained. Lightweight but incredibly strong. It has to be thin to be maneuverable at those depths. Plus, thick hulls are actually more dangerous. They can crack under extreme pressure. This design flexes slightly, distributing the pressure evenly. And if it breaks? Gilmora asked quietly. Then we come up quickly, Jaywin said with a shrug. But it won't break. I've tested it extensively. In simulations, Gilmora pointed out, well, yes. This will be the first real dive. Jaywon smiled. That's what makes it exciting. Velthar looked at Ji-young. You're actually going to do this. Of course, Ji-young said. This is why we came to Thalassos 7, to explore, to learn. We can't do that staying on the surface. I'm going too, Hyunwoo added. I need to document the deep sea life. We'll need medical monitoring, Dr. Minji said. I should be in the submersible as well. And I'm the pilot, Jae-won finished. So that's our crew, 4 people, descending to the deepest part of an alien deathworld ocean. He said it like he was describing a pleasant boat ride. This is insanity, Velthar said. He had said this many times during his stay on the station, but it never felt less true. The pressure alone could crush you. The submersible is rated for 15,000 meters, Jaewon assured him. We have a safety margin of almost double what we need. What about the creatures? Shilmora brought up a file on her datapad. The galactic records show an Omega-class predator in these waters. It destroyed a probe 200 years ago. The big one? Hyunwoo said excitedly. I've been hoping to see it. The recordings from that probe were fascinating. The creature must be enormous. It killed a research vessel, Silmora said slowly. The entire crew was lost. That vessel was running away, Hyunwoo pointed out. Predators chase prey that runs. We'll approach calmly, maintain a respectful distance, and observe. Most large predators are intelligent enough to recognize when something isn't food. You're going to trust your life to the intelligence of a monster fish? Velthar asked. We trust our lives to nature every day, Ji-young said. That's part of being human. We live in a world full of dangerous creatures. We learn to coexist with them. Velthar realized he was never going to talk them out of this. When do you leave? Tomorrow morning, Ji-young said. The weather looks good and all our systems are ready. That night, Velthar couldn't sleep. He stood in the observation deck watching the dark waters below. Somewhere down there, in depths that no one had ever survived, 4 humans were going to dive tomorrow. They would descend into crushing pressure and total darkness surrounded by poison and predators, and they were excited about it. Silmora joined him at the window. They're going to do it no matter what we say. I know, Velthar replied. That's what terrifies me. Should we contact the council? Request that they order the humans to stop? Velthar considered it. Would it work? Silmora's scales rippled with something like amusement. No. Humans don't respond well to being told something is impossible. They tend to do it anyway, just to prove they can. Then all we can do is watch, Velthar said. And hope. Morning came too quickly. The deep-sea team gathered at the submarine dock, running final checks on their equipment. The submersible sat in the water, small and fragile-looking. It was painted bright yellow, which seemed cheerful and somehow made it worse. Daehyun had prepared a special breakfast for the dive team. High-calorie, high-protein, he explained. You'll need the energy down there. The team ate together, laughing and joking like they were about to go on a fun adventure rather than a deadly expedition. Velthar watched them, trying to understand this human attitude toward danger. Ambassador, Ji-young said, approaching him with a tablet. Would you like to join us? Velthar's 3 eyes widened. Join you? In the submersible? Going to the bottom of the death ocean? Yes, Ji-young said simply. We have room for 1 more person. I thought you might like to see what we find down there, for your report to the council. Every logical thought in Velthar's mind screamed no. This was suicide. This was madness. This violated every safety protocol ever written, but he heard himself say, yes, I'll come. Shilmora looked at him like he had lost his mind. Maybe he had. But if he was going to report to the council about humanity's capabilities, he needed to see this himself. An hour later, Velthar found himself strapped into a seat inside the submersible. The interior was cramped but surprisingly comfortable. Screens showed views from external cameras. Various instruments monitored depth, pressure, temperature, and toxicity levels. "Everyone ready?" Jaewon asked from the pilot's seat. "Ready," the others confirmed. "Then let's go see what's at the bottom of this ocean." The submersible descended. At first there was light from above, the sun penetrating the upper layers of water. The liquid was clearer than Velthar expected, though it still had that disturbing green tint. Fish swam past. Strange creatures adapted to the toxic environment. Hyunwoo pointed them out excitedly, recording everything with his cameras. "That's a spiketail," he said. "And there, see those? We call them bubblefish because they inflate when threatened." "Oh, that one's new. I haven't seen that species before. They passed 500 meters. The light was fading now. Jaewon turned on the submersible's external lights, illuminating the water around them in a cone of brightness. More creatures appeared. Larger ones. Things with too many fins, eyes that glowed in the dark, teeth that looked like they belonged in nightmares. Velthar gripped his seat tightly. "This is a terrible idea." "This is amazing," Hyunwoo corrected him. "Look at the biodiversity. These species have adapted to extreme conditions. The evolutionary pressures here must have been incredible." At 1,000 meters, the pressure readings made Velthar feel sick. The weight of all that water above them was crushing. He could feel it in his bones, even though the submersible's hull protected them. "Pressure steady," Jaewon reported. "Hull integrity at 100%. All systems normal. How are you so calm?" Velthar asked. "Practice," Jaewon said. "Plus, I built this submersible myself. I know every bolt, every seal, every system. I trust my work." Dr. Minji was monitoring everyone's vital signs. "Jaewon's heart rate is actually slower than normal," she noted. "He's relaxed." "I do my best work under pressure," Jaewon said, then laughed at his own joke. They descended past 2,000 meters. 3,000. The darkness was complete now except for their lights. Strange creatures drifted by, some attracted to the illumination, others fleeing from it. At 4,000 meters, something large appeared on the sensors. "Contact," Hyunwoo said. "Big contact. Moving slowly, about 200 meters to our port side." "Is it the Omega Predator?" Velthar asked, his voice tight. "Too small," Hyunwoo said, "but still pretty large. Maybe 30 meters long. It's following us." "Following us?" Velthar repeated. "Curious, probably," Ji-young said. "We're something new in its territory." They continued down. 5,000 meters. 6,000. The creature continued to follow, staying just at the edge of their light range. Velthar could see parts of it sometimes. A massive tail. Fins that looked like wings. Eyes that reflected their lights. "Beautiful," Hyunwoo whispered, recording everything. At 7,000 meters, the ocean floor came into view. It was not flat like Velthar expected. There were formations rising up from the bottom, structures that looked almost artificial. "Are those rocks?" Dr. Minji asked. Ji-young leaned forward, studying the formations carefully. "I don't think so. The shapes are too regular, too organized." Jaewon brought the submersible lower, approaching the structures carefully. As they got closer, there was no doubt. These were buildings. Ancient, covered in strange marine growth, but definitely artificial structures. They had walls, openings that might have been doors or windows, designs that spoke of intelligence and purpose. "There was a civilization here," Ji-young said softly. "On Thalassos 7 in these waters." "Impossible," Velthar breathed. "No species could build in this environment, except one that evolved here," Hyunwoo said. "These creatures lived in this water naturally. To them this was home." The submersible moved slowly through the underwater ruins. Jaewon controlled the vessel with careful precision, navigating between ancient structures that rose from the ocean floor like the bones of a dead city. Hyunwoo had 3 cameras recording at once, capturing every detail. "This is incredible. These buildings are in remarkable condition considering how long they must have been down here." "The toxic water might have preserved them," Dr. Minji suggested. "Most decay is caused by bacteria and other organisms. Maybe the water here is too hostile even for them." Ji-young was studying the architectural style on the screens. "The designs are beautiful. Look at how they built these archways, the way the structures flow together. This was a sophisticated civilization." Velthar stared at the ruins in wonder and sadness. "Who were they? Why did they die?" "Maybe they didn't die," Hyunwoo said. "Maybe they left. Evolved to live somewhere else. Or maybe the water killed them," Velthar said quietly. "Maybe this ocean wasn't always toxic. Maybe something changed. That thought hung in the air like a weight. A civilization that had thrived in these depths, building beautiful cities. And then something had happened to turn their home into poison. "I'm taking us lower," Jaewon announced. "I want to get a closer look at that large structure ahead." The building he indicated was bigger than the others. It stood at the center of the ruins, a massive construction that must have been important. Perhaps a temple or a seat of government or a university. As they approached, Hyunwoo noticed something. "There's an opening, big enough for the submersible." "You want to go inside?" Velthar asked, already knowing the answer. "We have to," Ji-young said. "This is the discovery of a lifetime. We need to document everything we can." Jaewon maneuvered the submersible toward the entrance. It was a large doorway, easily 3 times the height of a human. Whatever species built this had been big. "Approaching the entrance," Jaewon said. "Everyone hold on. The currents might be tricky." They passed through the doorway into the interior of the ancient building. Jaewon turned on all the external lights and the interior was revealed. It was like entering a cathedral. The space was vast, with high ceilings supported by elegant columns. Strange symbols covered the walls, writing in a language no one had ever seen. Objects were scattered across the floor, artifacts from a lost civilization. "Look at that." Dr. Minji pointed to what appeared to be furniture. Tables and chairs, though designed for bodies very different from human or Quilinari. Hyunwoo was recording everything, his voice excited. "The preservation is amazing. These objects look like they were placed here yesterday. The water has kept them almost perfect." Ji-young noticed something near the back of the chamber. "Jaewon, can you take us over there? I think I see some kind of console or control panel." They moved deeper into the building. The console Ji-young had spotted was indeed some kind of technology. It was built into the wall with what looked like input devices and display screens. "Is it still functional?" Velthar asked. "Only one way to find out," Jaewon said. He brought the submersible close to the wall. "But we can't access it from in here." Everyone looked at Hyunwoo. He smiled. "I'll do it. I need to collect physical samples anyway." "Are you sure?" Dr. Minji asked. "We're at 8,000 meters depth. Even with your suit, the pressure is extreme." "The suit is rated for this depth," Hyunwoo said. "And it's only toxic water. I've been in toxic water before." Velthar watched in disbelief as Hyunwoo prepared to exit the submersible. The human put on his thin diving suit, checked his breathing equipment, and gathered sample collection tools. "This is madness," Velthar said. "Again. This is archaeology," Ji-young corrected him. Jaewon initiated the exit procedure. A small airlock in the submersible's side opened, and water rushed in. Hyunwoo calmly stepped into the airlock, gave them a thumbs up through the window, and then opened the outer door. He swam out into the ancient building. Velthar watched through the external cameras as Hyunwoo moved through the water with practiced ease. The pressure at this depth should be crushing him. The toxins should be killing him. Instead, he swam to the console on the wall like he was exploring a safe museum. "Hyunwoo, how are you feeling?" Dr. Minji asked over the communication system. "A bit cold," Hyunwoo replied. His voice came through clearly. "And the pressure makes my ears feel weird. But otherwise fine. This place is amazing." He reached the console and began examining it carefully. His gloved hands traced over the symbols and buttons. "I think this might be some kind of data storage device. Or maybe a historical record. Can you activate it?" Ji-young asked. "I can try. Let me see if I can find a power source." Hyunwoo swam around the console looking at its connections. He found a panel and carefully opened it. Inside were crystals glowing faintly with their own internal light. Even after thousands of years underwater, they still held power. "Incredible," Hyunwoo breathed. "These crystals are some kind of battery. And they're still charged." He touched one of the input devices on the console. Nothing happened. He tried another. The screen flickered. Everyone in the submersible held their breath. Slowly, the ancient console came to life. Symbols appeared on the screen, flowing across it in patterns that were clearly language but completely unreadable. "It's working," Hyunwoo said. "It's actually working. I'm recording everything." The display continued to show information. Images appeared, showing creatures that must have been the builders of this city. They were large, with multiple limbs and bodies adapted for swimming. They looked powerful and intelligent. "The Talmarian," Ji-young said softly, giving them a name. "That's what I'm calling them. The people of Thalassos. More images appeared. Scenes of life in the underwater city, buildings being constructed, gatherings of the Thalmarine, children learning, families together. It was beautiful and sad, seeing the life of a lost civilization. Then the images changed. They showed something dark and terrible. Ships descending from space, not ships like the Galactic Council used. These were different, aggressive, threatening. The invaders, they were attacked, Velthar said. Some other species came here and attacked them. The images showed war. The Thalmarine fought back, but they were losing. The invaders had superior weapons, superior numbers. City after city fell. Why didn't they ask the Galactic Council for help? Silmora asked. She had been monitoring from the surface station, watching everything through their video feed. The council might not have existed yet, Ji-Young said. Or maybe Thalassos 7 was too remote. Help couldn't arrive in time. The images showed the Thalmarine making a desperate decision. They gathered their scientists and engineers. They began changing their world. They weaponized their oceans, Hyunwoo said, watching the display. They deliberately made the water toxic to drive away the invaders. More images showed the transformation. The Thalmarine released chemicals into their oceans. They altered the biology of their world. The water that had sustained them became poison to their enemies, and it worked. The invading ships retreated. They couldn't survive in the toxic environment. They left Thalassos 7, moving on to find easier targets. But the victory came at a terrible cost. The images showed the Thalmarine struggling in their own oceans. The water they had poisoned was killing them too. They couldn't adapt fast enough. They tried to clean the oceans to reverse what they had done, but it was too late. The last images showed empty cities. A dying civilization, a world that had become a tomb. They sacrificed everything to stop the invasion, Dr. Minji said quietly. They turned their home into a death world to save themselves. But they couldn't survive what they had created. The display flickered and went dark. The message was over. Hyunwoo collected several of the power crystals, taking them carefully from the console. He also gathered other artifacts, storing them in protective containers. Coming back in, he announced, swimming toward the submersible. He re-entered through the airlock, water draining away. When he removed his helmet, his face was thoughtful. 50,000 years, he said. That's my estimate of how long this city has been abandoned. Maybe more. The Thalmarine have been gone for so long that the galaxy forgot they existed. But they left a warning, Ji-Young said. Those images weren't just history. They were a message. Warning about what? Belthar asked. The invaders, Ji-Young replied. The species that attacked them. They're still out there somewhere. The Thalmarine wanted future visitors to know what happened here. To be ready. We need to take this information back to the council, Velthar said. They need to know about this threat. Agreed, Ji-Young said. But first let's collect more data. We need to understand everything we can about what happened here. They spent hours exploring the ruins. Hyunwoo made several more dives, collecting artifacts and samples. Each discovery painted a clearer picture of the Thalmarine civilization. They had been artists, scientists, philosophers. They had built a beautiful culture in the depths of their ocean world, and they had been destroyed by an enemy that came from the stars. As the submersible finally began its ascent, Velthar looked back at the ruins below. They were disappearing into the darkness, returning to their eternal silence. We found them, he said. After 50,000 years, someone finally found them. And it was humans who did it. Because we could survive their ocean, Hyunwoo said. We could go.